Hi, folks. Welcome to this emergency daily dispatch. I'm Julie Roginski here with Michelle Kinney. And Michelle, we are at a moment when everything seems to be accelerating at a rate that is just crazy. I wrote in my Substack this morning that until Charlie Kirk's death, it seemed like things were trending in a very bad direction, but maybe not as quickly as they have been since his death. Since his death, I feel like the predicate has been set to effectively eradicate what is left of our democracy. Yeah. And tonight, something really devastating happened just a few minutes ago before you and I decided to do this live. Yeah. Disney was threatened by Brendan Carr, the head of the FCC, that they had to yank Jimmy Kimmel, the comedian who is a mainstay of late night on ABC, hosting their flagship late night show, and has been doing it for years, very successfully.
Yeah. They have like 200. I just want to say also, just the Jimmy Kimmel show itself, just on YouTube, they have 200 million subscribers. Like, it's, major.
What Brendan Carr, the head of the FCC, said was Disney could either do this the easy way or the hard way.
I have the clip if you'd like to watch
I would
it.
love for that to happen, yes.
And frankly, before you see...
What's up?
Sorry, before you play that clip, he's saying this to Benny Johnson,
a crazy
right-wing bigot, who would not be allowed in polite society under any other circumstance, and who was paid by Russia
to
spew propaganda. That guy apparently is totally acceptable for the FCC chairman to appear with, but Jimmy Kimmel is not. So why don't you go ahead and play the clip now?
Frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC. Again, there's actions that we can take on licensed broadcasters. And frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster, are running the possibility of fines or license revocations from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortion. So
sure enough, within just a few moments of Brendan Carr saying this, Nexstar, which is a one of those licensed broadcasters that has, I don't know, but I think about a dozen or so ABC Disney affiliates, said that they were not going to run Jimmy Kimmel's show anymore for the foreseeable future. And then, of course, that set the predicate for Disney to bail on Kimmel altogether. To be clear, this is the same Walt Disney Company that paid Donald Trump $16 million in what is considered a bribe. There's no other way to put it. In order to settle a lawsuit that under no normal circumstances would have even seen the light of day. It would have been dismissed by any, it's a joke. And yet, the minute Trump won, Disney settled with him. There is no bottom.
No, there's not. And I would like to just read some of this, if you don't mind. It's the Deadline article. I have it over here. Let me see here. Known for his prove me wrong debates. Okay, so this all happened because of something, supposedly. Now, this was gonna, I'm sure, in the works anyways, because Donald Trump hates Jimmy Kimmel. He apparently said something about Kirk's death. It said, mocking Donald Trump over POTUS's take on the NFL and TikTok as well. Kimmel offered his blunt assessment of the aftermath of Kirk's death in his opening monologue on his September 15th show, which was 2 nights ago. We hit some new lows over the weekend. Actually, you know what? I can pull this up. Hold on. Let me do this. We can all see this, right? Yeah, let's do that. It's around the 2-minute mark, I believe. Of course. We all got to watch an ad. This is fun. There we go. So let me go to the 2-minute mark here. Here we go.
Grip, stability,
Jesus, why do they do
precision.
this?
That's the
I
essence
honestly,
of driving.
well, I would pay money just to
Save
not
big
have
on
to.
furniture packed with innovative features during Ray Ward Flanagan's Fall Smart Living Sale.
I don't even know how to make this
Personal
go away.
information.
Okay.
Trump's buddy will have them instead. At least it's somebody we can trust, though, right? We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay? And it didn't just happen once.
When I heard it, I was in the midst of, building a great, for 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom at the White House, right? They don't have a ballroom. They have to use tents on the lawn for President Xi when he comes over. If it rains, it's a wipeout. And so I was with the architects that would design. It's going to be incredible. And they came in, they said, Charlie Kirk is dead. I didn't know what they meant. I said, he was dead. Charlie Kirk was shot. And they thought he was dead because it was so horrific, And I said, dead.
And then we installed the most beautiful chandelier. Sconces, you wouldn't believe. There's something wrong with them. There really is. I mean, who thinks like that? And why are we building a $200 million ballroom in the White? Is it possible that he's doing it intentionally so we could be bad about that instead of the Epstein list? By the time he's out of office, the White House will have slot machines and a water slide. Trump is in major change the subject mode. On Friday, he stopped by the always friendly morning crew at Fox. Whenever Trump goes on,
the range that IU gives us, like,
awesome.
You can really customize your experience here.
I don't know how to do this. Yeah.
Fox and Friends. It's funny because the hosts are so eager for him to be reasonable. They spell it all out for him. They desperately want to avoid having a nod along with anything crazy or contradict him. So they give him the question and their preferred answer too.
Is the message to the right, the people that are going to go, I want revenge, not to have revenge? Charlie Kirk would not want revenge.
You want revenge at the voter.
That's where to go.
Okay, good answer, right? Take it to the ballot box. That's reasonable. That's almost presidential. But that's the thing. He can never just stop right there.
I can't really say at the ballot box because in some cases, like California, doesn't have ballot boxes.
Oh, well, in that case, begin the purge. For the record, we live in California. We do have ballot boxes. We have ballot boxes. We've got mailboxes. We have lunch boxes. We have all kinds of boxes. You should come see them sometime. We'll give you a toolbox. You can live in it. Okay? And then we have this head of the FBI, this character, Kash Patel, who so far has handled this investigation into the murder of Charlie Kirk like a kid who didn't read the book, BSing his way through an oral report.
So in 24 hours after, when we were still looking for the guy, I know you posted that we got him. And that ended up not being true.
The job of the FBI is not just to manhunt the actual suspect who did the killing or suspects, but it's also to eliminate targets and eliminate subjects who are not involved in the process. And that's what we were doing. Could I have worded it a little better in the heat of the moment? Sure. But do I regret putting it out? Absolutely not. I was telling the world what the FBI was doing as we were doing.
Which was claiming we caught the killer when we had not. Kash Patel always looks like he just got hit by a Volkswagen. The governor of Utah, Governor Spencer Cox, has been a rare voice of sanity after what happened in his state. He urged Americans to choose humanity, connection, and love, and even encouraged us to listen to people we disagree with, which is not the plan, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Klan Mom wrote today, there's nothing left to talk about with the left. They hate us. They assassinated our nice guy who actually talked to them, peacefully debating ideas. Then millions on the left celebrated and made clear they want all of us dead. To be honest, I want a peaceful national divorce. Same thing her husband said about 2.5 years ago. But a peaceful national divorce. How would that work? You get Florida, we get Vermont. I mean, we share custody at Disney World every other weekend. She's right, though, right? It feels like we are all stuck in a marriage to Marjorie Taylor Greene right now. I was at the Emmys last night. Guillermo was at it. We won Best Talk Show at the Emmys.
Yeah, so that's just in time to not watch that. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the monologue that supposedly got Jimmy Kimmel fired. But I think that they're using this. I mean, I think we know that they're using this as an excuse to get rid of him, just like they got rid of Stephen Colbert.
And let's be very clear, since we're on the subject of Fox and Friends. Two things that I want to mention.
Yep.
One is that while the FCC has no control over Fox, they do have carriage rights with different corporations that are different cable networks, right? Comcast, name them all. Spectrum here on the East Coast. I'm not sure what happens on the West Coast, but anyway, the person there that you saw Trump sitting with on that couch on Fox and Friends is a man named Brian Kilmeade, who I know. My friend Gretchen Carlson sat next to Brian Kilmeade for many years when she co-hosted Fox and Friends. I, in the very beginning of my time at Fox, used to go on Fox and Friends, and towards the end of my time at Fox, I refused because it was such a toxic, awful show, much like I refused to go on Hannity towards the end. But Brian Kilmeade said that we need what I call a final solution to the homeless problem, which is that he said, just kill them all, involuntarily euthanize them, if that's what it takes. That does not get you banned from television. If we want to compare apples to apples, Fox also has a late night show of its own.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Run by a man named Greg Gutfeld.
Horrible.
Who I used to sit next to on the 5 when I used to co-host that show back in the day. I'm not even going to get into what a horrible human being Greg Gutfeld is, other than to say that he was on yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago, maybe it was Monday, on the 5 with my friend Jesse Tarlov, who's the token Democrat on that show, who's very, very good. And I don't know if you have that clip, Michelle, but we don't have to pull it up because it actually makes me sick to watch. But when she brought up Melissa Hortman.
Oh, no, I don't have that clip.
Yeah, the state senator, I believe, state rep or state senator in Minnesota, the state legislator who got murdered in cold blood.
In her home.
In her home with her husband and her dog. Which Republicans are basically saying, oh, no, this guy was just mentally disturbed. He didn't do this for any political reasons. Okay. I personally think killing anybody makes you mentally disturbed, but I don't know why he's any more mentally disturbed than this guy who killed Charlie Kirk is, but never mind. He started screaming at Jessica Tarlov.
Oh my God. I'm actually, since I have my other laptop here, I'm going to try to find it. Hold on.
Yeah. I don't even want to watch it, honestly, Michelle, because it's so gross, because it just made me sick. Because the look of, it takes a lot to rattle Jessie, but the look of shock on her face, started screaming at her, saying, don't give me this bullshit. Nobody knew who Melissa Hortman was. And Jesse Tarlov said, as though that somehow makes it okay to kill her because nobody knew who she was. Because I didn't know who she was. You didn't know who she was. So it's not okay to kill celebrities, but it's okay to murder a state legislator in cold blood because nobody really knew who she was. You know who knew who she was? Her kids knew who she was. Her constituents knew who she was. Her neighbors knew who she was. Her family knew who she was. Greg Gutfeld is allowed to continue at Fox. No problem.
Of course.
No problem.
Of course.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I've got to tell you, when this is all over, and it will be over one day, because I don't know if it's going to be in the next few years, in the next decade, in the next 8 decades. I don't honestly know how long we're in this for, but one day it will be over. I don't want to go back to the days of, well, let's get back to the way things were. And this is not, we have to live up to our democratic ideals and our constitutional ideals and freedom of speech. No. Because if we do that, the next cohort of these assholes is going to think it's okay to do that again.
Yep. And listen, and they're like gremlins, and they're bubbling from the ground right now. Like MAGA, and we've been talking about this, like MAGA having been so successful now that they've actually, the virus of MAGA has mutated, and there's a new version of it that's out of control and flanking MAGA from the right. And on our group chat, Jojo actually just made a very good point. They're going to target SNL too. They absolutely are, because of NBC. And my lovely friends over at the Daily Show, we were kind of joking over the summer. He's like, am I going back to work? I don't know. And they're on air, but that's Paramount. It's Comedy Central. I don't know how much longer that will go on. I mean, this is like legitimately this is fascism. Fascism is not coming to America. Fascism is here. It's here. And while I know that you don't want to watch this because it's disgusting, I actually think people do need to see this, because unless you're like chronically online like we are, or if you watch Fox News, you wouldn't know. But this is Greg Gutfeld in this really disgusting exchange with
Jesse Tarlow.
Yeah. Let me play this. Hold on.
Okay. What about Melissa Hortman that we just talked
you want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
Doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same. Now you could bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your. What about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly. We don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality. So you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this? Or what about that?
My laptop decided to go into night mode in the middle of that, but
stop it. Just stop it.
Yeah.
I don't hear it. Listen,
he's such a reprehensible.
By the way, just because I used to be on that show, see how he's looking down at his notes? That's because this was all staged. Not by Jesse Tarlov, who I'm sure didn't know this was coming, but by him.
Mm-hmm.
He knew exactly which way this was going to go. This was all staged. I want the next president of the United States, who's a Democrat, to make it clear to any cable operator that if they carry Fox News, they will have problems.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this whole, we got to get back to
there is no going back.
There is no going back. There's no going back. There needs to be a complete and utter rip them up by the root, eradicate them, and then we could go back.
Mm-hmm. To another version of what it was
Another
before.
version.
Because obviously what it was before is so fragile. I mean, and we knew that, right? I mean, the Constitution is only as good as all of us abiding by it and believing in it. All it takes is a bunch of people in power to rip it up and say, no more. And look what's happened. I mean, Amy Coney Barrett did an interview the other day, and she was asked about the 22nd Amendment and a third term. And she was like, well, that's what it says. That's what it says. And then she smirked. And that should send a warning to everyone that Donald Trump is never going to leave. unless he has a heart attack or some other medical, intervention, he is never going to leave. Ever. And honestly, if it's JD Vance, I don't know that he leaves either.
Oh, I don't think he's any better. In fact, he might be worse.
Mhm.
Look,
he's a try hard, and he's gonna have to try so hard that he's gonna overcompensate.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think what we're looking at is a nice experiment for 249 years that we had. And that experiment is over. Because when they start coming after the comedians, translation, the people who make fun of you, the court jesters,
right,
then it's over. It's over.
Yeah, and these tough guys, by the way, authoritarians, dictators throughout history, the one thing that they cannot handle is being laughed at. And that's Stephen Miller, that's JD Vance, it's Stephen Miller, it's Mussolini, it's any of these people. They cannot stand being laughed at. And that's why, by any means possible, the work cannot cease. It must continue in other ways, because they will continue to just shut down.
Oh, and let me tell you what's happening next. Larry Ellison and David Ellison, his son, the Ellisons, who are now the richest people in the world because Elon Musk screwed the pooch on his fortune by deciding to get a little too political. They acquired Paramount, which means that they're now in charge of CBS, which is, you saw Stephen Colbert being offered up on a platter. They are now making a play to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Brothers Discovery owns CNN.
Like, this is why we have laws against things like monopolies. But again, if you don't have people in places of power or in court or in the executive branch, and he knows it.
Yeah. And, what's happening is that they're going to acquire CNN. Scott Jennings, who's already been platformed beyond belief, is going to have his own show. I predict that somebody like Anderson Cooper may or may not stick around.
I mean, I wouldn't if I were him.
And you will have like the primetime Scott Jennings show. You're going to have other people like him come on, because Warner Brothers Discovery has bigger priorities than CNN, which is like a fraction of their worth. They have priorities with their movie studios and Hollywood businesses that are worth $1 billion. CNNs that's losing money.
Can I ask you a question, Julie?
Yes.
Here's my question is that, these people want to scoop up all these media companies. They want to, monopolize all this stuff. What kind of money are they going to make?
They're not.
Nobody in the country has any money.
It's
to
not
subscribe to anything. And that's the thing that I'm like, I don't understand.
Because they think the good times are going to last forever. And they will until they don't, right? Until this always ends in war. I mean, there's never been a dictatorship that has not ended in war. It either begins in war or it ends in war. Ours did not begin at war, so it's going to end in war.
Whether that war is within ourselves or if it's with another country coming in, like I don't.
It's going to be a foreign country. You need only to go to Spain to see what happened and how the Franco regime came to power. That was a civil war, a very bloody civil war. You need only go to Russia to see how that's ending and how the Soviet Union ended. Also in war, in a boondoggle for 10 years in Afghanistan, broke supporting all of their satellite countries, and so on and so forth. I don't understand how these people think this is going to end well for anybody. Look at the Third Reich. And I keep saying, I'm sorry. I used to say I don't want to make any Hitler analogies to anybody because Hitler was, but listen, you want me to start making some analogies? This is what Hitler did in the first year of his rule, right? The Reichstag fire happens. They immediately take over and eradicate basically all other political parties, which is effectively he has dictatorial powers. It's not like the Reichstag, the parliament there, has any powers left. Right. It's not like Congress has any powers left.
Right. Which they completely abdicate. Like, I mean, they just handed it over.
I mean, like, the founders of this country thought there'd be a balance of power because I think they thought that the legislative branch would temper the executive and the judiciary would temper them and so on and so forth. No, both the Supreme Court and the legislative branch have just completely given away their power to the president because they live in fear of him.
Yeah.
And
just really quick, the irony of people being in fear of him is so wild to me because you look at him, look at Donald Trump. He is an elderly, overweight, leathery, can barely put two words together, bumbling idiot. But here we are, and people are terrified of him.
Terrified. And I'll tell you something else, you guys. They're going to come for Substack eventually because they're going to figure out that's where a lot of the resistance lives.
Which is an Australian company, isn't it?
I don't know, but if it operates here, I'm sure they'll figure something out. They're going to come for YouTube. Over and over and over, they're going to come for all these different things, and they're going to shut them down. And the question is, where is independent media going to live? Because they're going to eventually figure out that independent media is actually where the resistance is now.
Sorry, I made that up. I was completely mislearned. But yeah, the founders, Chris Best, Jiraj Sefi, and who's the other person? Hamish McKenzie.
YouTube, the platform we're on right now, is owned by Google. Do you think Google has bigger priorities? Of course they do.
And I think about all these creators, that make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on YouTube. And this is where I get really self-righteous, Julie, because I'm like, y'all have these platforms and you said nothing. You had all this time and you've had all this power and you stayed silent because you wanted clicks and you wanted money and you wanted to peddle your recipes or whatever stupid stuff, you make money, you make your millions, and nobody wants to step out of line and lose followers and speak up and talk about the dangers that this country is in. And this is where the unfortunate reality is that people are going to lose everything. And when the day comes, will they ask themselves, could I have done something to prevent it? And the answer is yes. I mean,
I don't, this is not about Jimmy Kimmel, guys. This is not about
way bigger than that.
This is way bigger, because Michelle is so right. They cannot stand being laughed at.
No, listen, I was at the Lincoln Project for 4 years. I for the first 4 or 5 months that I worked there, I was in comms, and then I moved over to creative, and I spent early January of 2021 until early of 2024 making ads with the Lincoln Project. I experienced firsthand what bothers Donald Trump, what gets in his head, and making fun of him and making him feel small, making him feel like someone else is in control and he's lost control. All of these things, he's so easily manipulated. And again, cannot stand to be made fun of. And that's why he's always threatening lawsuits, and he would, go on Truth Social in the middle of the night and call us all a bunch of pedos and whatever. I mean, that happened all the time. And listen, I mean, I learned a lot about the man working there and the content that we made that bothered him, because he more often than not, at least in the first couple of years, responded to a lot of it. I think he got tired of it after a while, but I'm.
So these guys are okay with cancel culture, right? Just to These little snowflakes are okay with cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
The man who just lectured us 2 days ago about freedom of speech and how we need to protect it, and that's why Charlie Kirk needs to be, sanctified, because he believed in freedom of speech. Is now they're not going after. It's interesting. They're not going after the First Amendment in a in the sense that they're going to say you can't say something. They're just going to make it impossible for companies that run these media conglomerates to continue to function, if not. And that's how the Supreme Court is going to get around it. Well, nobody's actually telling you that Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, listen, when this is all over, also, these companies, including Disney, need to be sued for offering bribes, bribery. I mean, this is extortion.
Yes. And I just want to put this up. This is a tweet from Alex Edelman, which if you don't know him, he had a one-man show. He won a Tony. It was on HBO. It was off Broadway forever, called Just for Us, and it's fantastic. He's a comedian. He said, "This is the actual cancel culture everyone claims to hate so much." And he says here, Republicans are free to draw whatever fake-ass equivalents they like. But the fact a comedian can't say something in his monologue without the government coming after him for it, that's censorship I can't find anywhere else in the 21st century. And he's right.
Yeah. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right.
Alex Edelman's one of the good ones.
Yeah. What about HBO, Stephen? You said owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, about to be owned by the Ellisons.
And Apple, Tim Cook. I mean, Tim Cook's so far up his ass, giving like fake ass awards and stuff.
Oh, no, my friend. It's even worse than that. Guess who escorted Tiffany Trump into the state dinner? Tim Cook.
The thing is, he doesn't have to do this.
He does because, he thinks he does because he wants to avoid tariffs. He's doing this so that Apple has an exclusion for tariffs, because if these China tariffs kick in for Apple, your iPhone's going to cost 3 times what it costs now. And that's what Tim Cook is doing this for. Again, extortion. So he could get a waiver. The little mom and pop store that's selling tchotchkes that are made in China, they're not going to get a waiver. They're going to go bankrupt, but not Apple.
Which again, there's all the bad stuff that the American government is doing to us, right? There's all this fascist stuff. And then there's the FBI, who's, not doing counterterrorism anymore, and they're not doing their jobs. And the CIA was gutted and purged. And we have on top of that a power grid, and cybersecurity that's been dismantled, and a very vulnerable power grid. Russia or China could hit a button and shut the power off for the entire eastern seaboard. Like, these things are very possible for happening. And again, this is where I just look at these people and these companies, and I'm just like, to what end? And that's the thing. I think what you're saying, Julie, is that they think that the good times are going to last forever. And I think that they're just not even thinking about it. And I read about these dictators who, they kill this person and they kill that person, and until they finally just run out of people. They run out of people to have power over. And then what? It's Gollum in the ring.
I don't say this lightly. I legitimately, I don't say this lightly. If you have the ability and the capacity to go, now would be a good time to explore those options.
Yeah.
If you have a grandparent who was born in Ireland, now would be a good time to apply for that Irish citizenship. Or some other, whatever other. It's and I say this as somebody, and now I'm about to start crying almost. I did not think I'd have to go through this a second time in my life.
I know.
the most traumatic thing that could possibly ever happen to somebody, short of, you know, the death of a child or something. I did not think I'd have to go through this again. And I'm telling you right now, I've seen this movie before. I have nowhere to go. It's not like I have a plate, you know, I don't have dual citizenship.
I mean, who does? Who does?
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I don't.
A lot of people whose ancestors were born in Ireland can get citizenship right now.
Yeah. And well, and Italy used to have like a third generation thing that my husband qualified for. And then I think it was in October that the new president of Italy got rid of it.
Yeah.
And I want to share this because thank you, Brad, in the comments for hold on, what am I doing here? For bringing this to my attention. There is a tweet or Truth Social, whatever. I just want to throw this up here. Yep, here it is. Right above a My Pillow ad. How apropos. Donald Trump just said 7 minutes ago, great news for America. The ratings challenged Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled, all caps. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert, if that's possible. That leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC. President DJP.
Yep.
Like, I mean, here's the thing, and I'm really going to try not to like lose it.
And guess what's going to happen?
They're going to do it.
Seth is going to be next, and then the Tonight Show is going to.
Yeah, because Jimmy Kimmel has been the probably trying to be the everyman here, who doesn't really say anything terribly controversial to his own detriment. Honestly, you know, I've always thought Jimmy Kimmel was a little foolish. I mean, funny but foolish in that regard. But this is where I'm like. This is the American president that literally ended late night television. Like, this is McCarthyism on crack.
Do you remember when Jimmy Fallon, who I cannot stand, went when Trump went to Jimmy Fallon's show? The hair. Remember the hair?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that gets you, Jimmy Fallon.
Yep. And again, like, it's the same thing with the people on YouTube, right? Who have these incredible platforms to speak up and speak out and warn people. And maybe not both sides in election, like Kamala Harris is, oh, she's got a funny laugh and I can't, oh, she doesn't have like a platform that I really can see. Where is it? But, but Donald Trump. And, I know we're not supposed to tell people we told you so, but we told you so. We told you so. Over and over and over and over again. And these mofos wrote it in a book called Project 2025. There is a page dedicated to media things. I have this thing sitting right here. Project 2025 proposes changes for public broadcasting, PBS, NPR. That happened, including cutting funding and reshaping their obligations to align with conservative priorities. It suggests reforms of how the FCC treats media that is deemed biased or not aligned with conservative values, which may include legal or licensing implications. However, the text is not explicit about revoking licenses of private broadcasters if they refuse to comply, because of course, if they wrote that outwardly, it would have been a harder sell. And again, Project 2025 with, I can't remember her name, the actress at the BET Awards in 2024, she was on stage talking about, this is our livelihoods, these are our families, and this is not a game. Project 2025 is not a game. Look it up. And there was like 2 weeks where people were Googling what Project 2025 was. And then they started asking Donald Trump about it. And of course, the media, shitting the bed again, asks him. And he's like, oh, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it. I don't oh, Kevin Roberts, who's that? He's lying. And nobody follows up and nobody presses him and nobody does anything to bring this to light. Connect the dots for people. Say that he's full of shit. And again, like here, Taraji Henson, yes, the actress who talked about this at the BET Awards. And like, again, it's a Black woman going out to America saying, listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. And it's like, I feel like.
And let me tell you something. And if you really want me to crash out, this is what I'm crashing out about. I've been crashing out about it in my columns for the last, I don't know how long, and I'm going to crash out again right now. Where the fuck, sorry, Dad, are our Democratic leaders? Why are they sending the equivalent of thoughts and prayers?
Yep.
I mean, they're busy putting together, coming up with a strategy on how to handle the government shutdown. And do we shut the government down? Do we work with them?
No, like, right. I'm like,
What?
no.
What?
The fact that it's even being contemplated is insane.
What are you? No. You have no role in governing. Therefore, do not help them govern.
No.
You have one job and one job only: to go out there in front of this goddamn mic, which I can't. There you go. To work. And you go out there and use your platform to explain what is happening. Like a normal
every single day.
Every day. You have no other job. Your job does not exist. What do you think? You're legislating? You're not legislating.
No. You're taking up space and you're breathing CO2 into the air of the chamber, because that like literally is the extent of it. And there are members of Congress and there's senators, right? One in particular, I was just thinking because, I saw his tweet last night. I think it was last night saying, talking about the government shutdown and the vote or whatever. And it was like, Donald Trump has said, has not indicated that he's going to work with me. So my vote is no. I'm like, no, the vote should be no anyways. And like, I don't care if you're trying to whip votes to be the minority whip or whatever it is. None of that's going to matter because we're not going to have a government anymore. And it's going to be one party rule. So like, and also like, I want to save my seat. This belongs to me. This is my seat. And Lisa Murkowski hinted today that she was going to run for governor of Alaska. I'm like, of course, because she wants to get the hell out of DC. She probably knows she's going to get primaried from the right. And also she probably thinks Alaska's pretty far from the lower 48 states. And if something goes awry, I'll be in Alaska.
Yeah.
And I'm so disgusted and I'm so tired and I'm so exhausted. I feel like we're all of us screaming at the top of our lungs to even people in our own families being like, listen to me. This is as bad as it is. It's going to get worse. Please listen to me. And if the time comes that you have to go, and if you can go, I've been telling my friends, if you can go, go. Get out of here. I have two friends who have dual citizenship in Canada, and they were living in California. They picked up and went to Toronto and texted me and said, we left. We took our daughter. She's going to start kindergarten. We're going to go to Toronto because we don't want our daughter to grow up in this violent, toxic environment. And they spent, I don't know, 8-9 years trying to get pregnant. And like, they finally have this beautiful little girl. And like, they're like, we're not going to lose her in her classroom. We're not going to lose her in some sort of, violent conflict. And I'm certainly not going to raise my daughter in a country that is no longer free. I'd go in a heartbeat if I could. Honestly, that's where I'm at. But it's like, but at the same time, we can't stop fighting. And because they want us to silent and they want us to run away. And that's where I'm like, I teeter back and forth because I'm like, not that I can leave or could leave. It's just,
I will just say this to you. We are not, based on everything that we've seen in the last week, never mind the last 8 months, going to have any kind of free and fair elections.
No.
In 2026. Despite some chance, despite all that, Democrats still get the majority. They will not seat them. They will not seat them.
Oh, yeah.
The vice president will not swear in Democratic senators, and they just will not be sworn in. And there's going to be another Supreme Court. That's the way it's going to go is, it's going to be appealed to the court. Lower courts are going to say seat them. The Supreme Court will say, well, let's just figure out. We're going to take our time deciding. And the leave a vacancy so that there's no functioning in government. This Supreme Court is, I mean, I just can't forget how they wouldn't let Biden get rid of student debt because
student loans. It's too controversial. Can't do that.
It was overstepping his boundaries as president.
Right. But we can incite a violent insurrection, try to overturn, a free and fair election, try to overthrow the government. I mean, the list goes on. Steal documents, hide them in your bathroom. And now, I mean, every day we turn around, it's like, you can't do that. And if I hear one more person saying, well, that's illegal, he can't do that, who's going to stop him? There's literally no one there to stop him. And the thing about the Supreme Court, it's not even like they're compromised. They're in on it. And again, they're going to be the ones at the end of the day being very, very confused and surprised when they're part of that outer circle that is cast aside by Donald Trump. Because it happens every time there's like some sort of rise to dictatorship or authoritarianism. This always happens. Always. People don't think it's going to be them, and then it is.
Yeah. Jay Anderson, he says Senator Sheldon Whitehouse wrote a book about corporate capture of the court, warning people. I don't need him to write a book. I don't need him to write a book.
Yeah.
I need him to go out into the streets of Rhode Island on a daily basis and tell his constituents what is happening.
Yeah. This is where I'm like, don't even go to Washington to vote on what? It doesn't matter if you vote or not. You're going to lose anyways. Just
go have
every day.
Go have town halls every day. Go have town halls every single day. And if you don't feel like you need to have them in your state because Rhode Island's pretty much where it needs to be, go somewhere else. Go to Atlanta. Go to Dallas.
Yeah. Go to Hawaii. Go seriously. What are you even doing?
Go and talk to people in swing states and Republican states about what is happening.
And I feel like they were doing that for like a second and then everybody stopped.
Yeah, they don't do town halls anymore. Because I think after after Charlie Kirk, they're all terrified.
Everyone's afraid to say anything at all. And, and for anybody who's here watching for the first time, or you didn't watch us today on Over It, we talked about, we can all be in agreement, I would hope, as human beings, that killing anybody is abhorrent. It's ugly. It's disgusting. It's monstrous. And it never should happen to anyone. I don't care who you are. But we can hold two thoughts at once and hold two feelings at once, that I will not be gaslit into being told that this is a person who wasn't racist and wasn't misogynistic and wasn't, and so, we put together a video, like a 6.5 minute video of just him talking. And listen, I know people are all up in our comments and Tara's and calling us the C word and everything else. And listen, I'm sure it's going to get worse. But I'm like, why are you yelling at me? I didn't say anything. We literally added no supers, no text, no anything. It's just him. And Scott Jennings setting it up, saying that he is a mainstream conservative Republican and whose values are shared by the party. And then we have JD Vance on Charlie Kirk's podcast saying that, we can't have unity with these people. I don't know, Julie. I'm every day since last week, and it was, it's been a week. It's been 1 week since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And I was sitting on your couch, in New York, and we spent the day in the afternoon kind of just because it was just such a shocking, horrible day. For all the reasons. And now here we are. And look what has happened since. It feels like you said at the beginning of this, accelerated. It's like somebody put their foot on the gas and is 8.21 gigawatts. Like that's what this feels like. And I don't know how we stop it.
Yeah.
I just don't. And because again, the people who can be doing stuff, the people in power, people in Congress, people in the Senate. And let it be known, the Republicans could do something, but they won't. And we're out here begging the Democrats to stand up and do anything because we got a better chance at least, but the Republicans will do absolutely nothing. They have allowed all of this to happen. You know?
Nothing.
I'm so angry. I'm so angry. And like, you know, also I love Jimmy Kimmel. I watch Jimmy Kimmel all the time. And I mind you, I catch him the next day, usually on YouTube, but I love Jimmy Kimmel. And I love that he's been one of the people on late night who has spoken truth to power for years now.
4 years.
4 years. And I would say more in your face than anybody. And, you know, Jon Stewart, I'm sure, is going to be up on the list next. After that, in whatever threat or bribe he's going to make with Paramount. You know,
I'm very
staff is out of a job. Yes, I know some. Like I know a couple writers. Like, yeah, they all lost their jobs today.
Yeah,
camera people, union workers, people in the office, administration, accounting. I mean, like it takes a small city to put on a show like Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah,
and they've all lost their all lost their jobs.
Now would be a good time for like Matt Damon to speak up.
Yes, or George Clooney, or like literally like all of them that couldn't shut them up during the 2024 election about Joe Biden are awfully quiet now.
But I mean, Matt Damon, who had this whole long riff, excuse me, with Jimmy Kimmel for years. They had
like the fake one, like the fake rift? Yeah.
Rift.
Because I'm Matt Damon. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a platform. Use it. Use it.
Mm-hmm.
George Clooney, who's desperately worried that I guess his wife's not going to be allowed into the country or something, isn't saying much. Apparently now he's not into politics. That's it. After 2024.
Just horseshit. A couple months ago when he was putting up his show on Broadway, Good Night and Good Luck, which ironically is about McCarthyism and you know, the federal government getting involved in broadcast news. And they aired it on CNN, and I do recommend people to go watch it. It is quite good. But he did a one-on-one interview with him and Patti LuPone at the Rainbow Room, which is at the top of 30 Rock in New York City. And that's where they filmed it. And they're sitting in their chairs, and like, you know, Patti LuPone like hates Donald Trump, and she's always, you know, always has. You know, and she says, you know, I don't know, I'm worried. And he says, I think we're going to be all right. I think we're going to be all right. And Patti LuPone's like, really? Like, and I don't think she want to like start a scene and like, you know, in the middle of the interview, because this really wasn't what it was about. And he was like, no, I think it's going to be fine. I think, you know, we're going to go through this. We're all going to get through this together. And it's going to be, I'm like, you know, it must be nice to be you.
It must be nice to have a house in
Lake Como.
Yeah.
Like, it must be nice. And for you to sit up here on your ivory tower and tell the rest of us now, like, and here's the thing, like, you know, my husband's got a good job. I live in New York City. Like, listen, I got a roof over my head. I'm very fortunate. But even given that, I do not have the means to move to another country. Like, I just don't. Do you know what I'm saying? And for him to kind of say something like that is so arrogant. And then, like, I would say, like, you know, as a childless 43-year-old with, you know, my husband who's an attorney, like, you know, how are other people doing? I mean, on top of all the other shambles of the economy and people losing their jobs, and people are going to get sick, and they're going to lose their health insurance, and they're going to lose Medicaid and Medicare, and a third of the farmers in Arkansas are going to go bankrupt. I mean, this is all going to come crashing down. And this is, again, where I'm like, I pray, and I don't have a lot of hope really that the righteous anger of the American people are going to rise up and shut it down. But like, I think everyone's just so tired and complicit and like all up in their phones
and
scared, and they don't want to look up, and they don't want to risk their own well-being or means to an end. And you know, it's I even think about my own friends in theater industry. Obviously, many of my friends still work in theater, not just in New York, all over the country. Friends who worked at the Kennedy Center, no more. You know, it takes a lot of investors to put on a Broadway show these days in the last 25 years or so. Like it's become a different animal. If those people, the rich people, don't have money to put in these shows because their businesses are suffering, because really, I mean, it is a very risky investment to invest in a Broadway show because it takes a lot to get your money back. People aren't going to take the risk anymore. And there's another industry that is central to New York City tourism. More people go see Broadway shows than people see NFL teams.
Yeah.
And you know, it's on top of the fact that nobody wants to come here from out of the country. You know, it's I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what it's going to take, Julie. I can't even make small talk with people anymore. I can't do it.
I don't know the answer to that.
I know. I'm going this weekend. I'm going to go have martinis with two of my best friends. And we all agreed that we all know what's going on in the world. We're all very in tune, but we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some dirty martinis.
Well, I think we don't need to belabor this. We've been at it.
Yeah, I know.
Other than to say, look, dark days are ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to sugarcoat what is happening because what happened today is awfully dark.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been less than a year since Donald Trump has taken the oath of office.
Mm-hmm.
But this time they were prepared.
Mm-hmm. What is it that they say? A failed coup is a training exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are.
And I just want these. Yes, of course he's going to be. Of course.
He's such a douche.
Of course.
He's such a dickhead. I can't.
That's like, of course, if he's on tonight, it's the first thing he's going to be doing. I'm putting a marker down that I want justice when this is all over.
Mm-hmm.
I want justice.
Mm-hmm.
I want Disney to face justice.
Mm-hmm.
I want Nexstar to face justice. All of these companies, Paramount, all of these companies, Apple, all of them,
mm-hmm.
Who are bribing their way into a dictatorship.
You know, it's funny you say the thing about justice. There's a documentary that I recommend everybody watch. It's called Against All Enemies. And it's about the aftermath of January 6th and law enforcement and military, like getting involved in extremism, Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, right? And there's a gentleman who is formerly, I think, military, and he's part of this kind of like, he calls himself, he's like, I'm like a Nazi hunter. Like, and he's like, because I don't want to, like, it's not that I want to go crush these people or anything. He's like, I want justice. He goes, I want justice.
Yeah.
I want people to face justice.
Yeah.
So Brad, has Tara commented yet? She was on any of this. I don't know. She was on Michael Cohen's Substack about an hour and a half ago. So you can go take a look at that. And I know there's a video probably. So yeah, but you know, we'll probably be back tomorrow. There'll be something. And if not, you know, Tara and I do our show at 7:30. We have a special guest coming on to talk about, again, how to push the Democrats out of our way so that we can win elections, if God forbid we have them. And then, Julie, you have...
Olga Latman and I are going to be on at 11 tomorrow.
On Substack, right?
Substack to talk about the Pax America, for a Pax Americana show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think maybe I haven't spoken to her about this, but we spent a lot of time maligning what is happening in Russia right now.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's time we look a little bit inward, just to show the parallels of what's happening.
It's so real. It's so real. And I urge people. There's a docuseries on BBC America, and I'm probably going to put it in the newsletter for Seneca Project next week. It's the rise and fall, I think, or the rise and the fall of the Third Reich. And it's a pretty comprehensive story arc to how it began, how it went through, and how it ended.
Oh, I mean, you should read the book. The
chilling.
Will Shire book, Rise and Fall
Yeah.
of the Third Reich, is a great, great book. It's
Mhm.
old, but it's good, and it makes sense.
Mhm.
And you'll see the parallels.
Yeah. One question before we go, Julie. Do you think it's worth it to bang down, not literally, obviously, bang down Kathy Hochul's door and be like, how are you going to protect the people of New York? Because I feel like I live in a state where things are supposed to be a little bit better, but like some of this, you know, how much can a state do to push back? I mean, people have been talking about the soft secession thing, about, you know,
I wrote a whole
pulling their
column.
power.
I wrote a whole column on soft secession.
You did?
Listen,
Okay.
oh yes, it's on Substack. Go to my Substack, Google soft secession, go Google, search for soft secession. Literally, it is called soft secession. There are many things that the states can do. They're not doing them, but there are many things.
What? Sorry. Are you kidding me? No. Get out. Hold on. There it is. South Park dramatically. Hold on. South Park creators cancel episode from airing. This 59 minutes ago after Charlie Kirk shooting. They said they didn't get it done in time. I don't believe it. They said this one's on us. We didn't get it done in time. I'm not buying it. They've been getting it done on time for 27 seasons. I'm not buying it. Never thought I'd see the day. I honestly didn't. So on that note, I might go have a stiff drink, Julie. Stiff drink and some Chinese food.
I'm going to go try to work on my husband about maybe convincing him that maybe time to go.
Yeah.
He's
Good luck with that.
Yeah, he's not convinced. All right. On that note, question for you guys before we go. Do you think Stephen Colbert actually makes it to the end of the season?
Mm-mm.
I predict they cancel him before that. I predict the mask is off now. Now that Kimmel is gone, the mask is off, and they will.
And they're emboldened.
Yep.
And they know that no one's going to stop them.
Yep.
You can be like, get him off, get him off. And listen, CBS will pay out the rest of their contracts.
We'll pay out the rest of his contract,
But it's like, you know, whatever, chunk change at that point.
Yeah. I don't think Colbert is going to be around till May.
I don't know that Jon Stewart is.
I don't either. All right, everybody. On this sad note, we love you
Andrea,
all.
this is sad. Yes.
Thank you. We don't mean to be sad. Let's all.
Well, but at the same time, like, I mean,
Let's be
really,
realistic.
you're a lot like I can't lie. I'm not going to sit here and pretend everything's fine. Like I can't lie, and it's, you know, I not lie, but you know what I mean, like pretend that things maybe are a little bit better than they are, and it's just they're just not. And you know, the thing my therapist told me today is she was like, you know, we can't. There's a lot we have no control over, but what we do have control over is the people we surround ourselves with, the people that we spend our time with, seeking out means of joyfulness in and of itself is resistance, and buying books and going to see live music and theater and art and go see a movie, and you know, all of these things, continue to support those things and take one day at a time.
We are not going anywhere, you guys.
No, we are not.
We will continue to talk to you, talk with you, tell you the truth, and not pull any punches. And if they decide they're going to throw us off of YouTube, we'll find some other platform. And if
They might shut down Seneca Project by next week. Who knows?
There's no other platform, we'll do it from our phones, and you guys can all join in on FaceTime together. But we're
Look who's here. Frederick, hello.
Hey, Frederick. But we're going to continue to do this until our last breath. So I don't want anybody here to think that that's not the case. And
I'll do this over like radio towers if I have to.
Yeah,
I'm
and
serious.
yeah,
Find another way.
And that's the good news. The good news is we don't work for anybody, just ourselves. So nobody can fire us.
That's right.
And if they shut down our platforms, whether it's Substack or YouTube or whatever it is, we'll find a new one.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, we are grateful to all of you for sticking with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Do not
everyone.
be afraid. There are more of us than there are of them.
Good advice.
Do not
Good
be
advice.
afraid. And we love Frederick Pogue. We know you too, Frederick. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, spread the word. Mayday, the distress signal is out.
Oh yeah. Hello, Mayday, Mayday.
And distress
yeah.
signal is out. We are going to hard launch the Mayday Network
Next
soon.
month. Yeah.
Next month, but we are grateful to all of you for participating in our soft launch. And yes, we are Spartacus. Not to sound like Cory Booker, but we are Spartacus. And tell your friends. Tell your friends.
Yeah, please do. And I like, again, there's only so many hours in a day to manage our socials account. So really, YouTube is the place to sign up, like, and subscribe, and you'll be the first to know, when we're going to do these. So
yeah. Okay. Thanks,
all right, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Have a drink on me. Bye.
Bye.